know, it is funny how the simplest things in life can turn out to be the ones that make the biggest difference. And when it comes to sleep, especially after the age of 60, we often think the answer has to be something complicated, maybe a prescription from the doctor, or an expensive gadget, or some new supplement that promises the world. But the truth is that sometimes the answer is sitting right there in your kitchen in a form you have probably been ignoring for years. And I am talking about ginger now. Before you roll your eyes and think, oh, I have heard about ginger and tea or for upset stomachs, let me tell you there is so much more to it than that. This is not about a quick cup of tea or a spice you sprinkle into your cooking. This is about using ginger in ways that actually send your body the message it needs to hear at night, that it is time to rest, to let go, and to sink into deep, uninterrupted sleep. And I am not talking about a theory here. I am talking about practical, simple methods that older adults have been quietly using for generations to sleep better without pills and without side effects. And what I'm going to share with you today are X different ways to use ginger, each with its own unique effect on your body and your mind. So whether you struggle with falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up too early, one of these could be the missing piece you've been looking for. And we're going to start with the one that, in my experience, gives people the fastest results and the warmest sense of comfort before bed. And that is soaking your feet in warm ginger water with salt. Now, where's the thing? Most of us never think about our feet beyond making sure they are in comfortable shoes. But in traditional medicine, Devon and modern reflexology, your feet are like a map of your entire body. They are packed with nerve endings and pressure points that connect to your heart, your brain, your spine, and just about every major system you have. And when you are over 60, circulation naturally slows down, especially to your hands and feet. That is why so many older adults complain about cold to us or restless legs at night. And that is a big deal because poor circulation and tense nerves can keep your body in alert mode, even when your mind is begging for rest. Soaking your feet in warm water with ginger and a little salt does something really simple but powerful. It warms you from the bottom up and sends a signal to your nervous system that it is safe to relax. And I mean really relax. The warmth itself causes your blood vessels to open up, letting more blood flow through your entire body. And that steady circulation delivers oxygen and nutrients to your brain, helping it shift gears into sleep mode. Ginger adds its own layer of magic because it contains natural compounds that activate your parasympathetic nervous system, that is the branch of your nervous stem responsible for rest, digestion, and recovery. In other words, the opposite of fight or flight. And when that kicks in, your heart rate eases, your breathing slows, and your muscles let go of the tension they have been holding all day. The salt plays a quieter role, but it's just as important. It has agent cleansing effect on your skin and can even draw out a bit of inflammation from tired, achy feet. Plus it boosts the warming effects, or you don't lose that heat too quickly. Here is how I like to do it, and it could not be simpler. I take half a fresh ginger root, wash it really well, and then crush it with the flat side of a knife to release more of the juices. You could also slice it thin if you prefer. Then you fill a basin with warm water around 104 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit, warm enough to feel deeply comforting but not so hot that you have to pull your feet out. Then you toss in the ginger and about a teaspoon of coarse salt. Give it a little swirl, and then I just sit back and soak for 15 to 20 minutes. You can close your eyes and focus on your breathing, maybe rub your feet gently, or just let the warmth sink in. When you are done, dry your feet completely and slip on a thin pair of socks to keep the heat in for the rest of the night. Now I have to tell you, the first time I showed this to a friend of mine who's 72, she was skeptical. She thought it sounded too simple to matter, but she tried it 3 nights in a row, and on the 3rd morning she called me laughing. She said, I do not know what kind of witchcraft this is, but I slept straight through the night for the first time in months, and I woke up with warm hands and feet. That story is not unusual at all. I have heard it over and over from people who try this. The science backs it up too, because when your extremities are warm, your body doesn't have to work a shard to regulate temperature. And that lets it stay in deeper stages of sleep without those little wake-up signals your brain sends when it senses a chill. There are a few things to keep in mind though. If you have open wounds on your feet or serious circulation issues like severe diabetes, talk to your doctor before trying this. And if you have just had alcohol, you are running a fever, skip it for that night. Otherwise, this is one of the safest, easiest ways to prepare your body for a rest. And the beauty of it is that it is not just about the physical effects. There is something about taking that quiet 20 minutes for yourself that shifts your mindset to it, becomes a little ritual agent, the way of saying to yourself, the day is done now. It is time to let go, and I promise you, if you stick with it even just a few nights a week, your body will start to recognize that signal, and you will find yourself feeling sleepy almost as soon as feet that warm waters. So if you are tired of lying in bed, watching the clock, or waking up over and over, give this a try tonight. It costs next to nothing. It takes very little effort, and it might just give you behind of deep, peaceful sleepy you thought you had lost for good. Now these kind of way I want to share with you is something you might think you already know, but I promise you there is a little twist that makes it way more effective for sleep. And that is a warm cup of ginger honey lemon tea before bed. You might be thinking, well, sure, I have had ginger tea before, and I drink honey and lemon when I have a sore throat. But here is why this combination works so well when you're trying to get a deep, restful night, especially after 60. The ginger in this drink does a few really important things for your body. It warms you from the inside out. It helps relax the blood vessels. It gently stimulates circulation, and it then calms certain nerve pathways that tend to keep you in that alert mode when you're stressed out. It has these compounds called gingerols and shogols that do a quiet little dance in your system, lowering inflammation and just telling your body, hey, it is okay to slow down. Now, the honey in this drink is not just for sweetness, although it does make it taste like a treat. Honey actually helps stabilize your blood sugar through the night. Now, you might not think that matters much for sleep, but here is the king. When your blood sugar dips too low in the middle of the night, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol to bring it back up. And that little surge can be enough to wake you up and have you lying there wondering why you're suddenly wide awake at 2 in the morning. Also encourages your brain to release a serotonin, which is the chemical that makes you feel good, calm, content, and at night, your body turns that serotonin into melatonin, which is the hormone that literally runs your sleep cycle. And then Wedelma, not just because it gives this bright, clean flavor, but because a little bit of vitamin C can actually support your immune system while you sleep, and it helps smooth out the throat and sinuses, which can sometimes be part of why people doesn't turn if they feel stuffy. Now the trick with this tea is in how you make it, because if you just throw everything in boiling water, you will lose a lot of the goodness. Here's what I do. I start by slicing 4 to 6 thin pieces of fresh ginger. No need to peel it, just wash it really well. Then I bring about half a liter of water to a boil, and once it is bubbling, I toss in the ginger. Then I lower the heat and let it simmer gently for about 5 minutes. This pulls the flavor and those beneficial compounds out without boiling it to death. After that, I take it off the heat and let it cool down just a little. You do not want it scorching hot when you add the honey, because high heat can destroy some of the natural enzymes in raw honeys, so I wait until it is warm but not too hot. Then I stir in about a tablespoon of good quality honey, the real stuff, not the corn syrup kind you find in little squeeze bears. And then I add the juice of about a quarter of a lemon, sometimes half. If I want it a little tangier, I give it a and I drink it slowly about an hour before bed. And that timing matters because it gives your body enough space to absorb the nutrients, warm itself up from the inside, and start that slow drift towards sleep, without making you feel like you have to run to the bathroom right as you you are nodding off, what I love about this tea is that it works on multiple levels. Sight is physical in that it warms your core and relaxes your muscles. It is chemical in that it helps balance hormones and blood sugar, and it's also emotional. There's something about sitting with a warm mug, breathing in the steam, and letting that spicy sweet citrus scent fill your sense that just melts away the tension from the day. I have had people tell me that just the act of making this tea at night became a ritual that their bodies responded to before they even took the first sip. Their shoulders would drop, their breathing would slow, and you would already feel the weight of the day lifting off. Now you might be wondering, what if I have a sensitive to mucor acid reflux? Will the lemon bother me? And my answer is, you can always start with less lemon or skip it altogether. The ginger and honey on their own still make a wonderful bedtime drink, and if you have really sensitives to mac, you can even steep the ginger a little shorter so it is milder. The point is not to make it so strong that it overwhelms you, but to make it just right for your taste and your body. Another little tip, if you really want to lean into the relaxation factor, is sip this while you are doing something calming. Maybe you're reading a book, maybe you're listening to some gentle music, maybe you're sitting by a window watching the world wind down outside. That pairing of a calming activity with the warm tea will ensure the effect in your nervous system. So even on nights when you cannot make the tea, just doing that other activity might trigger some of the same relaxation. And of course, as with anything that has calories, even small ones like honey, you want to make sure it fits with any dietary needs you have. If you are diabetic, for example, check in with your doctor or nutritionist about how to work it in without causing spikes or drops in your sugar levels. But for most all the older adults, this tea is agent-led delicious way to wrap up the evening. I have shared this recipe with dozens of friends and family members, and one thing I hear over and over is not just that they slept better, but that they woke up with less stiffness in their joints and less of that groggy, heavy head feeling that can hang around in the morning. And I think that is because when you actually get to stay in those deeper sleep stages, your body gets more done in terms of repair and cleanup, so you wake up feeling lighter and clearer. So give it a try. Start tonight if you can, and do it with intention. Do not just gulp it down while you're scrolling on your phone. Make it an experience. Let the warmth fill you up. Let the flavors remind you that you're doing something good for yourself. And let that be the bridge between your busy day and a peaceful night of rest. Now, the third way to use ginger for better sleep is a little different, because you are not going to drink it or soak in it, you are actually going to breathe it in. And I know that might sound a little odd at first, but hear me out. This is what I call the ginger herbal pillow, and it's one of those quiet little tricks that works while you do absolutely nothing except sleep. The idea is simple, certain. What I love about this method is that it's solo effort once you make it. It just does its job night after night. You don't have to brew anything, wash anything, or venge out of bed. You just lie down and let the aroma do the work for you. And in a world where so many sleep aids involve swallowing a pill or watching the clock, this feels almost luxurious in its simplicity. Plus, there is something kind of comforting about having a handmade object involved in your bedtime routine. It feels personal, it feels like care. And I think our brains respond to that too. So if you're looking for a way to bring more calm into your nights, and you like the idea of adding a little ritual without adding any extra work, this ginger herbal pillow might be exactly what you need. Try it for a week. If you notice that your thoughts slow down more easily, or that you wake up fewer times, and if you do keep it going, and maybe even make a few for friends or family, because this is the kind of small gentle gift that can make a real difference in someone's life, and they will think of you every night when they lay their head down. Alright. Alright, let's keep going because the fourth way to use ginger for better sleep is something a lot of people overlook, and yet it can make a huge difference if you tend to feel tense or cold in the evenings, or if you notice that your body just doesn't seem to be winding down naturally toward bedtime. This one is a warm ginger drink, but not the tea we already talked about earlier. This is ginger simmered with rock sugar in the afternoon, and the timing here is just as important as the drink itself. The idea is that you're giving your body agent to warm up a few hours before bed, so by the time you're ready to sleep, your circulation, your nervous system, and even your mood are already leaning toward rest. It is like setting the stage before the main event, and trust me, when you start doing this, you will realize how much easier it is to slide into a peaceful night without having to fight your own body's signals. So let's talk about what rock sugar does first, because some people hear sugar and immediately think, oh, that's bad form. But rock sugar in small amounts is different from the refined white sugar you might be picturing. It has a milder sweetening and a cooling property in traditional food therapy, which means it can balance out the warming and sometimes slightly drying nature of ginger. This way you get the benefits of ginger's heat without feeling parched or overheated later. Plus it gives the drink this round, mellow flavor that feels more like comfort than candy. Now where's how I make it? And it could not be simpler. Take about half of a fresh ginger root, wash it well and slice it into thin pieces. You don't have to peel it, just make sure the skin is clean, then put those slices into a small pot with about half-a-liter of water. Bring it to a boil, and once it is boiling, add a small piece of rock sugar, maybe the size of a large grape. Stir it until it dissolves, then lower the heat and let it simmer for about 5 more minutes. That's all you need. You don't want to cook it so long that the ginger flavor turns bitter. When it's ready, pour it into a mug. And here's the important part, drink it in the afternoon, maybe between 2 and 4 p.m. Definitely not right before bed, because you don't want to go to sleep on a full stomach or feel overly warm when you're under the covers. What happens when you do? This is pretty amazing for a lot of people. Your body temperature rises gently, your extremities start to feel warmer, and you can sense your shoulders and neck letting tension without you even having to think about it. It's a signal to your body that the intense part of the day is over and that it can start switching into a lower gear. This means that by the time bedtime rolls around, your nervous system isn't trying to slam on the brakes from full speed. It's already been slowing down for hours, and that makes a big difference in how quickly and deeply you fall asleep. I remember suggesting this to a friend who works from home, and she told me that afternoons were always her most stressful times. She'd be rushing to finish work, answering emails, thinking about dinner, and by the she tried to relax at night, her brain was still spinning. So she started making this ginger and rock sugar drink around 3 in the afternoon, and within a week, I noticed that she felt calmer in the evenings and her sleep started improving. She said it was like giving her mind a head start toward bedtime. Another nice thing about doing this in the afternoon is that it can replace that habit of reaching for coffee or black tea late in the day, which we all know can interfere with sleep without you realizing it. You're still getting a warm, comforting beverage, but instead of caffeine, you're giving your body something that encourages relaxation and warmth. Now, just a little reminder, moderation is key here. You don't want to overdo the sugar, even rock sugar, so keep the pieces small and don't keep adding more thinking it will taste better. The point is ageless sweet balance, not dessert. If you want to get creative, you can add a slice of dried jujube or a pinch of cinnamon for extra warmth. But honestly, just ginger and rock sugar is all you need. I like to think of it as my afternoon reset. It's this little pocket of time where I pause, pour something warm into my body, and tell myself, okay, the rest of the day doesn't need to bear ace. It's a small thing, but when you turn it into a daily habit, your body starts to anticipate it and respond to it. And over time, it becomes one of those anchors in your day that your nervous system relies on to keep your rhythm steady. So if you often feel like your evenings are still buzzing with leftover energy from the day, or you have trouble shifting into sleep mode, when you finally get into bed, try this for a week. Just one small mug in the afternoon, and see if it doesn't make that transition into night a whole lot smoother. You might be surprised at how something so simple and so inexpensive can create such an odyssey. Blecha enjoy your sleep. Alright, let's move into the fifth way to use ginger for better sleep. And this one is a little bit of a luxury, but once you try it, you might find yourself looking forward to it. Taste the highlight of your evening. I'm talking about a warm bath with ginger. And I know some of you might be thinking, I don't have the time or energy to fill a whole tub at night. Or maybe you haven't taken a bath in years, because showers are quicker and more convenient. But let me tell you, out there is something very different about submerging your whole body into warm water, especially when that water is infused with fresh ginger. The heat and the ginger work together to create a deep, relaxing effect that goes far beyond just feeling clean. When you sit in warm water, your blood vessels open up, your circulation improves, and your muscles release tension in a way that is hard to achieve otherwise. Now add ginger to that, and you get the additional benefits of its warming compound seeping through your skin into your muscles and joints. So it's like a full body version of the ginger foot soak we talked about earlier, except this time you are enveloping everything from yours. Hold or store your toes in that gentle heat. There's how I like to do it, and it's really simple. You take a large piece of fresh ginger about the size of your palm, wash it well, and crush it with the flat side of a knife or a rolling pin. You don't need to peel it, just break it open to release the juices. Then put the ginger pieces into a thin cotton bag, or even wrap them in a clean dish to welty it up, and drop it into your bath. As you fill the tub with warm water around 100 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, the warmth will draw out the ginger's oils and scent, and soon you'll know. Taste the water taking on that subtle, spicy aroma. I recommend soaking for about 15 to 20 minutes, not too long, because you don't want to overheat, especially before bed. And during that time, try to let go of distractions. No phone, no TV, just close your eyes, focus on your breathing, and let your body sink into that warmth. You might even feel a light tingling sensation on your skin as the ginger works its way in. And that's a good thing. It means the circulation is increasing. For those who don't have a bathtub, you can still get a similar effect by doing aging your body. Rinse, boil a pot of water with the crushed ginger, let it steep for 10 minutes, then pour it into a large basin, mix with warm water, and use a small bucket or cup to pour it slowly over your shoulders, arms, and legs. It won't be quite the same as a full bath, but you'll still get that relaxing ginger warm the ions. Recommended this to Agent LeMan in his late 60s, who had trouble sleeping because of shoulder and back stiffness every night. Who would to sand turn trying to get comfortable. After a week of doing ginger baths 3 times, he told me the stiffness was noticeably better, and more importantly, he was falling asleep faster and waking up less often. There's also something about the ritual of taking a bath that tells your brain the day is done, and it's time to rest. You can make it even more soothing by dimming the lights in the bathroom, maybe lighting a candle or playing some soft instrumental music. That combination of sensory signals, warmth, scent, sound, and low light works together to shift your nervous system into parasympathetic mode, which is where deep rest comes from. Now, an important note: if you have low blood pressure or certain heart conditions, talk to your doctor before doing hot baths, and always get out of the tub slowly so you don't feel dizzy. And of course, if you notice your skin getting irritated, reduce the amount of ginger or the soaking time. Otherwise, this is one of the most comforting ways to prepare yourself for our sleep, especially on cold nights when the air is chilly and your body craves that deep, lasting warmth. So if you've been struggling to relax in the evening, so you wake up feeling tight and achy, give a ginger bath a few times a week. It's not just a message to your whole body that says it's safe to let go now. And that message can be exactly what you need to drift off into a deeper, more peaceful night of sleep. Alright, let's wrap this up with the 6th way to use ginger for better sleep. And this one is so simple. You might not believe it can have such an effect. But sometimes the smallest things done at the right time can make the biggest difference. And that is eating roasted ginger with your evening meal. Now, I'm not talking about adding a sprinkle of powdered ginger to dish. I meant taking a fresh piece of ginger and preparing it in a way that transforms its flavor, makes it easier on your stomach, and unlocks its warming and digestive benefits in agentless steady way roasting. Ginger changes its character. It takes away some of that sharp bite and leaves a soft, smoky aroma that blends beautifully with savory or even slightly sweet foods. And because the heat has mellowed the more aggressive compounds, it's less likely to irritate your stomach while still giving you the circulation boost and calming effect that make it easier to sleep later in the night. Here's how I like to do it. I take a medium-sized piece of ginger, rinse it well and place it directly over a low open flame on the stove or on a small piece of foil in the oven if you have a gas stove. You can just set it right on the grate, turning it every so often until the skin is blackened and the inside is fragrant and tender. If you're using an oven set to about 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and roast the ginger for 15 to 20 minutes until it feels soft. When pressed, once it's roasted, let cool enough to handle, then scrape off the charred skin, slice it into thin pieces, and you can eat it or drizzle any bit of honey over it if you like a hint of sweetness. I usually eat this as part of a light evening meal, maybe alongside some steamed vegetables and a small portion of protein, or even just with a piece of whole grain bread. The idea is to pair it with foods that are easy to digest, so your stomach isn't working overtime while you're trying to sleep. Roasted ginger helps stimulate digestion in a way, which means your body processes that evening meal more efficiently, and you're less likely to feel bloated or uncomfortable when you lay down later. Plus, the warmth of the ginger supports circulations, so your extremities stay cozy through the night. I suggested this to a neighbor of mine who was always wakey. At 3 a.m. feeling restless, and she told me that after a week of adding roasted ginger to her dinners, she was not only falling asleep more easily, but also staying asleep through the early morning hours and waking up with more energy. The next day, she said, it felt like her whole body was calmer at night and lighter in the morning. The great thing about this method is that it doesn't require any extra steps right before bed, which for some people can be a barrier. You simply incorporate it into your dinner and let the benefits unfold naturally as you go about your evening. The key is keeping that evening meal on the lighter side so the gin can do its job without being overshadowed by heavy, greasy, or overly spicy foods. So if you're someone who often skips dinner or eats very little at night, you can still have a few slices of roasted ginger on its own, maybe with a cup of warm water to help it settle. And the idea is not to make it complicated, but to make it consistent. And like all of these ginger methods, the real magic happens when you turn it into a habit your body learns to recognize the pattern and respond accordingly. So whether you choose the roasted ginger dinner, the afternoon ginger drink, the bath, the foot soak, the tea, or the herbal pillow, or maybe a mix of them over the week, the point is to send your body a clear signal that night is for rest and restoration. And when you do that over and over, the quality of your sleep will change in a way you can feel. Now, if you've been listening to all of this and thinking, I've tried so many things for sleep and nothing sticks, I want you to remember this: none of these methods are about forcing your body to shut down. They're about inviting it to remember how to rest. They're gentle, they're natural, and they work with their rhythms. You already have some. My challenge to you is pick one of the ginger methods and start tonight. Commit to it for at least a week. Pay attention to how you feel in the evenings and how you wake up in the mornings, and then share your experience, because you never know who might be watching this and struggling the same way you are. And your story could be the thing that gives them hopes. So if you found this helpful, let me know. Try one of these tonight, and And tell me in the comments what you felt, and if you want more ideas like this ones that are simple, natural, and fit right into your life, make sure you stick around because we've got so much more to share, and I'd love to have you along for the journey toward better, deeper sleep every single night. Scents trigger a relaxation response in your brain, and ginger, when it is dried or lightly tasted, releases a warm, earthy aroma that does exactly that. Now, if you combine that scent with a few other calming herbs, you can create a kind of gentle cloud around your head that helps your nervous system shift into rest mode more easily. Think of it like a natural aromatherapy that works all night without needing a diffuser or electricity or anything fancy. So here's how it works in practice. When you breathe in a scent, your olfactory nerve sends signals directly to the limbic system in your brain. This is the part that controls emotions and memory, and also plays a huge role in sleep cycles. Certain smells tell your brain this is safe, this is calm, it is time to rest. Ginger has a particularly grounding quality to its aroma. It's warm, it is slightly spicy, and it seems to quiet down that busy chatter in your mind. And when you add in herbs like lavender or chamomile flowers or vendried mint leaves, you get a more complex calming effect. Lavender, for instance, has been shown in multiple studies to reduce heart rate and blood pressure. Chamomile has mild sedative properties, and mint can help open up your airways, making it easier to breathe at night, which, if you have ever been kept up by a stuffy nose, you know is priceless. Making aging or herbal pillows actually a fun little project, and it can be as simple or as pretty as you like. You start with some dried ginger slices. You can make these yourself by slicing fresh ginger thin and letting it air dry in a warm spot for a few days. Or you can use a dehydrator. If I have one, the key is to get them fully dry so they do not mold. Then you take those dried slices and crush them lightly to release more of the aroma. Do not powder them, just break them up a bit. Then add in your chosen herbs, maybe eatable spoon of dried lavender buds, a handful of chamomile flowers, and a few dried mint leaves. Mix them together in a bowl until the scents start to blend. Then you put the mixture into a small breathable cotton or muslin bag, something that lets the aroma escape without letting the bits and pieces get all over your bedding. Tie it up and tuck it inside your pillowcase near where your head will be, or even slip it between your pillow and pillowcases so it's tight in place. Now, where it gets interesting. When you lie down and put your head on the pillow, you will catch these little hints of the ginger and herbs as you shift and move, and those little bursts of scent are enough to keep reinforcing that sense of calm as you drift off over time. Your brain starts to associate that scent combination with falling asleep, so even on nights when you're more restless, that familiar smell becomes like a shortcut into relaxation. I remember making one of these for my aunt who had been having trouble sleeping after sheer tired. She was used to a really busy schedule, and her mind just would not quiet down at nights. So I gave her aging or herbal pillow and told her to just give it a week. She called me 3 nights later saying she couldn't believe how much easier it was to fall asleep. She said it felt like her body just melted into the bed the moment their head hit the pillow, and she did not wake up until the sun came in through the curtains in the morning. Now, there are a couple of tips to make this work even better. One is to refresh the pillow every few weeks, because the scent will fade over time. You can do this by adding a few more crushed ginger slices or fresh dried herbs and giving it a little shake. Another is to store your extra mixture in sealed jars so you can make refills easily and keep the scent strong. I also like to slightly warm the herbal pillow before bed, not in a microwave, because that could be a fire hazard, but just by placing it near a warm lamp or on top of a heating pad for a few minutes before putting it back into the pillowcase. The gentle warmth seems to make the scent bloom more strongly for those first few minutes when you're trying to drift off, and that can be the most important window to set the tone for the whole night. one more thing, if you have allergies to any specific plants, be mindful of the herbs you choose. You can absolutely make a pillow with just ginger if you want. It will still have that grounding effect. And for some people, that simple clean scent is all they need. The point is to create an environment that feels safe, cozy, and inviting. So your body lets goof the day's tension without you having to think about